You can start now.
Good morning,
Good morning.
How are
Your
you?
voice is little low. You can.
Is
No,
it
no,
correct?
okay. I think okay. My sound
Okay,
was less here. You can
okay.
start, Ranju, now.
Okay, fine. Good morning. We have only Anshika, right? Anshika is
No
there only.
problem. You start. I think people will come and join. They may leave also. So, okay, carry on.
Yes, we'll start now. We'll start
Good
with
afternoon, sir.
we'll start with social stratification. This is unit number 60. So, what is social stratification? In this chapter, what we will learn is we will try to understand the meaning, concept, the dimensions and forms of social stratification. Also, we'll comprehend the Indian society social structure and the relationship between caste and class as a form of stratification. Also, we will identify the patterns of immigration in India and their relationship with stratification systems. We will explore the relationship between Indian social stratification systems, diasporic characteristics, and economic impacts. Now, what is social stratification? There are a lot of definitions, but we'll take a simple one. Social stratification is the hierarchical arrangement of individuals in society based on wealth, power, and prestige. That means this it categorizes people into hierarchical groups, and the base of which will be wealth, power, education, and social status. In an analytical view, stratification can be viewed as both evaluative ranking and empirical distribution of resources in society. Anshika, can you tell me one thing? If you categorize, this is what social stratification says, if you categorize people in hierarchical groups based on factors like wealth, power, education, and social status, what will it create in the society? What will be the impact in the society? Ishika, you're there? Audible?
I think she's not able to hear. I think you can go ahead in case there is a
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Sorry, I was looking in the book. Sorry, sir.
No problem. Don't look in the book. Look here. Listen to me. If I was asking you a question, social stratification, if it is categorized, it means it's categorizing people into hierarchical groups based on factors like wealth, power, education, and social status. If that is the case, what will be the impact of stratification in the society? Did you get me? Well, this will create, this will ultimately create unequal relationships, impacting access to the resources, opportunities, and privileges. So that is what social stratification creates. Definitions has been given by Raymond. Social stratification is a horizontal division of society into higher and lower social units in a simple way. The same way, stratification was defined by Tumin as the hierarchical ranking of social units, just what we said just now, governed by norms and principles which regulate access to social rewards. Now we will go into the dimensions and forms of it. Age-old universal nature of social stratification. Social stratification has existed since the earliest societies, such as in Mesopotamia and Egypt, the Indus Valley, etc., where distinctions were made between the rulers, priests, soldiers, artisans, and laborers. It was there in the medieval period too, where in the feudal system, we can see people being characterized as nobles, clergy, artisans, and laborers. In India, we have this caste system, which we will discuss in detail in coming slides. This caste system is one of the oldest form of stratification, where the society is divided into hierarchical groups based on the occupations and ritual purities, deeply influencing social interactions, educations, and job opportunities over the time. Now, another dimension is unequal social relations. What does this mean? Social stratification inherently results in inequality, which means it ensures that not all members of a society have equal access to resources like land or wealth or opportunities like education and employment and privileges like social honor or political power. So that is the unequal social social relations. Like what to say as an example, in these contemporary societies, unequal pay between genders for the same job highlights some level of social stratification based on gender. Similarly, in India's rural areas, owners often wield significant power over landless laborers, creating economic and social disparities. So that's the another dimension of stratification. Now we will see how stratification has an influence over the Indian diaspora. The Indian diaspora spread over various countries is influenced by India's inherited systems of social stratification, which means even when Indians migrate to different countries, they often carry elements of their caste, class, and even cultural identities. For example, uh, in countries like US, Indian communities, they often maintain caste and regional associations, such as the Tamil Brahmin groups or the Punjabi cultural clubs. It is there in even it is there in the migrant community in Gulf countries, where even the lower economic classes used to have different living conditions. Still, they have these kind of groups or clubs like the Kerala club, like the Tamil Brahmin club. All these things are still there in the Gulf countries too. Now we will come into the key features of social stratifications. There are several key features, but we will discuss around 8 of them, which are the major ones. Number one, it is hierarchy. What is hierarchy means? Hierarchy means a ranked arrangement of groups where some are superior to the others. If we put in an example, it can be like in a workplace, the hierarchy may include like roles of like CEO, managers, HR manager, finance manager, and down the line, assistant managers, then supervisors. Those are called hierarchies. Are you understanding it? You, Karan, you just joined it, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Can't hear you. Hello?
हेलो
Karan, are you saying something?
सर, वॉइस क्लियर नहीं है आपकी सर।
अभी clear है?
यस सर।
Okay. Ascript and achieved status. Can anyone tell me what is ascript and achieved status?
Sir, ascript matlab means a person who already possesses some kind of status, like a rich man, or achieved status when someone works very hard to achieve that kind of status.
Yes, exactly. You're right. Ascript one, ascript status. Social stratification can be based on ascript characteristics like race, ethnicity, gender, and family backgrounds, and what you have said. All those things. Whereas achieved characteristics like the education, career success, personal accomplishments, but both influences an individual's social positions. Okay. Inequality. We have already talked what is inequality. When resources and opportunities are unevenly distributed across different social groups, inequality happens. Like people in higher status have more access to education, healthcare, employment opportunities than the middle class people or the lower class people. Social mobility. Social stratification can either encourage or hinder social mobility, where is the ability of individuals or groups to move up or down the social ladder. In some societies, mobility is more fluid, while in others, it is restricted by rigid class structure. So, social mobility is another key features. Now, power and authority. What is the difference between power and authority?
सर
Anyone
पावर
tell
हम
me?
उसे बोल
Yes.
सर पावर हम उससे बोल सकते हैं जैसे कि पावर किसी के पास है कि वो किसी भी फील्ड में कुछ भी बोल कर सकता है जैसे। और अथॉरिटी का सर ये है कि हमें किसी एक पर्टिकुलर क्षेत्र में ही हमें किसी को अथॉरिटी दी गई है उसके वहां पर कार्य करने की।
Authority. अच्छा, ठीक है. Power, you mean to say, refers to the ability or potential of an individual to influence others and control their behavior. Is it correct? Well, it's power refers to the ability or the potential for an individual to influence others and control their behavior, whereas authority refers to the legal and formal right to give commands and ask decisions. So what does it mean? So one does not need to be in a position of leadership to have power. A king and a secretary both have different kinds of powers, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
In the same way, in stratified societies, people in higher positions tend to have greater power and authority, while that can be used by them to influence social norms, laws, and policies that affect the distribution of resources and opportunities. What is the role of social institutions? Institutions such as education, religion, government, etc., play a crucial role in reinforcing or challenging the existing social stratifications. They contribute to the maintenance of social order by shaping individuals' behavior and access to the resources. Access to the resources. What does life sciences mean? What is life sciences? An individual's life chance, including the opportunity they have for achieving success, health, and well-being. That is called life chances. It is the opportunity. It is the level of opportunity they have to achieve success, wealth, and health, and their well-being. Those in lower strata may face greater challenges in accessing quality healthcare, education, and employment. So, life chances, life chances play an important role in social stratifications. Differentiation of social groups. We have discussed this one before also, that social groups is divided into different status or class based on factors like wealth, educations, occupations, and ethnicity. This group may include upper, middle, and lower classes, or more specific categories depend on the context. So, differentiation of social groups, life chances, social institutions, power and authority, social mobility, inequality, ascript and achieved status, hierarchy are some of the key features of social stratification. Is there anyone who wants to ask me a question? Anything?
No, sir, it was clear.
Okay, thank you. Now we will go into the next one. What is Max Weber's three P's? Max Weber's three P's. It refers to the three dimensions of social stratification that influence an individual's position in society. These dimensions are number one, property or wealth, prestige or social status, and the third one is power. So, property or wealth, what does it refer to? What does it mean? Anyone?
When someone is already coming from an influential or rich family, you know, like a Ambani's, they have a higher social stratification in the India.
Okay, fair enough. So this refers to basically an individual's material resources, including money, land, and other assets. In Weber's view, property plays a central role. It plays a central role in what? Determining one's economic position and ability to influence societal structures. So, property or the wealth plays the central role, according to Weber, in one's economic position. Number two, prestige. So, what does prestige mean then? Property is wealth, then prestige, social status. What is the social status? Okay, tell me one thing. Is social status achieved or inherited? Both.
सर उसकी समाज में जो वैल्यू है, समाज में उसका क्या स्टेटस है, जैसे कि कोई सामाजिक क्या
Like the Brahmins enjoy a different kind of status in the society than the Dalits. This is what prestige means.
Can be. Other than that, okay, this is something by inheritance. It is inherited. A Brahmin is born as a Brahmin, a Dalit is born as a Dalit. So it is inherited. Can you tell me something which is achieved, which is not inherited, achieved? A prestige, I achieve prestige, means what?
It means if somebody cracks a higher, like if some poor person became an IS officer, then this is something he achieved.
Right, you're right. You're 100% right. So prestige refers to the social honor or respect individual or group receive based on their occupation or education or lifestyle or personal achievement or which is being inherited. Prestige is not always tied to wealth but can be a significant factor in social stratification because there are some occupations like doctors, professors may highly be regarded even if they earn less money than a wealthy person. So that is called prestige. Having said to property and prestige. Now, what is power? Power relates to an individual's ability to influence or control others, right? That is what we said, right? It is an
Yes, sir.
ability of individual to influence or control others. So it can be derived from various sources, such as political authority, it can be organizational position, or a control over resources. Weber recognized that power doesn't always align with wealth or social status. So that is the difference. Power is not always aligned with what? Property and prestige. But people can, how to say, people can and hold significant power in society without necessarily having large material resources. It is not required that they should have a large material resources, but still they can have a power in the society. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
So,
Okay. Now we will go to the next social stratifications in India. Can anyone tell me what does it mean? It is basically the caste system, right? I have mentioned a couple of them. Let us examine what is it. In India's social structure, the caste system, which we will discuss now, plays a very important role. The caste system, rooted in the Hindu Varna model or the Varna system, divides the society in hierarchical groups based on ritual purity and occupation, like Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. So this is the four classification in the Varna system. So Brahmins, who are these Brahmins? We all know they are priests and scholars, right? Such as temple priests and those kind of high caste people. Who are Kshatriyas? Normally they are warriors and rulers like kings and military leaders. And Vaishyas, they are the trading merchants, like the business owners, all those people. And Sudras are workers and service providers, such as artisans and laborers. In this Varna system, in Asian social stratification system, that originated in India as a central to Hindu social structure. So Varna system has a central to Hindu social structure. It categorizes into four groups based on the qualities and duties of each group. Like the Brahmins have their, as I told you, what they do and what they are doing and all. In addition to these four, there is another fifth group which is not mentioned. What is that group? Anyone? In Varna system, we mentioned that there are four groups: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. When they classified into four systems. But in the reality, in the society, when they lived in four. They didn't live in four varnas. They lived in five varnas. What is the fifth one? The fifth group.
Chandal, sir.
Come again.
Chandal. There were one group which was Chandal.
What does they do? What they do?
They have to pick the dead bodies, and because if anyone dies, nobody touch that body. The Chandal does that, and they have to wear something which creates a jiggling sound so that everybody knows they are coming. So they just go to their home so that they don't have to face them.
So they are basically Dalits, right? Can we put them as Dalits?
Sir, Shudras and Dalits have are different, basically.
Yes. Sudras and Dalits are different. Sudras are still accepted in the society. For example, I'll tell you, there are people who used to go to Kshatriyas, not to Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, this merchants, house to do work, to do job like cleaning, all those things, washing clothes and all those things, right? These are Shudra peoples. They are accepted in Varna system, they are accepted. But Dalits are the fourth group that was not being accepted, and they were not formally and historically also marginalized and discriminated against by all the four groups. So they were considered part of the Varna system and were not assigned the most and were assigned the most polluting and menial jobs such as handling dead bodies and cleaning toilets. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
What is Jati system? Includes membership by birth, hierarchy, and hereditary occupation. I just wrote it that one. But can anyone tell me what is Jati system?
It is a subdivision in the Varna system. Like in Hindus, there are more people. Like Jati, I mean, what? How can I say? If someone is Brahmin, and then there is more people in that group. That like Jat. Jat is also a kind of Jati. I think.
Right. You are right.
Yes.
Yeah. Karan, you can.
यस सर, वही मैं यही बोल रहा था कि जैसे जाति सिस्टम को वर्णों के अंदर विभाजित किया गया है, जाति को फिर बाय बर्थ कर दिया गया, जैसे कि अभी बोला था इन्होंने, जाट हो गए और कुम्हार हो गए, जाटव्स हो गए और भी नाई नाई हो गए, अदर इस तरह की अलग अलग कास्ट सिस्टम बना दिया गया हिंदू धर्म में.
Exactly, both of you are correct. So Jati system is basically what Ankita said. It's a subdivision within the Varna systems, right? And it has characteristics like endogamy, hereditary memberships, hierarchies, and rule of purity and pollutions. So that are the main features of Jati system. Jati has numerous subgroups or castes based on occupations, social status, and ritual purities under the border Varna system. If that is the case, what is class system?
That caste means Jati, actually.
Class means
कास्ट मीन्स जाति. जात को ही इंग्लिश में कास्ट कहते हैं ना.
नहीं मैंने तो कास्ट सिस्टम नहीं बोला, क्लास सिस्टम, क्लास CLASS, क्लास सिस्टम.
Sorry. Class
Come again?
system basically judged upon on the money. If someone has more money, then he's from elite class, and if someone has low money, then he's from lower working class.
Okay, right. Anything from Karan?
यस सर, मैं यही बोलने वाला था.
Okay. So the class system divides society into groups based on economic, social, and cultural factors such as wealth, occupation, and education. Unlike the rigid caste system, the class system allows for social mobility, meaning individuals can move between the classes. You understand? Like this is an important thing. In Varna system, do you think that Kshatriyas can become a Brahmin?
Sir, he can't.
He can. Basically, he cannot, right? In Jati system also, one cannot go upper class. One cannot become an upper class. But in a class system, one can have there is a social mobility. It's called social mobility, meaning individuals can move between the classes. From the rich, a rich can become poor, and at the same time, a poor can become a rich. Right? You understand, right? So the key features of it is economic division, social mobility, class hierarchy. Like class includes upper class, middle class, working class, lower class. Everyone will be included in that. Occupation and education. Higher classes have better jobs and educations. They may more or less get some level of equal playing grounds. Cultural factors, different classes may have different lifestyles and cultural practice, but the class system creates inequality as resources and opportunities are often tied to one class around. So there also we have social stratification based on, and the ill effect of it is the inequality. Now, rural versus urban. This is something which we know that the rural people, rural areas often, retain rigid caste-based hierarchies such as landowners dominating agricultural labors. Urbanization has facilitated, well, let's say, class mobility, but caste identities remain significant and seen in urban housing segregated by caste. So, actually, rural versus urban stratification refers to the social and economic differences between rural and urban areas. Right? What is the
Yes, sir.
changing? What is the changing trends? Can anyone of you explain what is the changing trends? Take the examples in India itself. Can you figure out what are the kind of changes that is happening?
Sir, the government policies which are given to the people like SCs and STs who were earlier the marginalized group, now they are more or less uh, can participate in many things, like they have been given the reservation in government jobs, in education system, and now they're participating in the Indian society.
Right, you're correct. Anything from Karan?
फिर जैसे कि रिजर्वेशन वाला सिस्टम था, वो उसको 10 वर्ष के लिए लागू किया गया था, तो उसे पॉलिटिकल क्या कहते हैं सर, राजनीतिक लाभ के लिए उसे हर बार बढ़ाया जाता है, इस तरह से शायद ये भी हो सकता है।
सही, is also correct. इसका अलावा there is something which we have to know is that in the past few decades, India has experienced a kind of significant economic growth, particularly in the information technology, IT, and service sectors. This has contributed to the expansion of a large middle class, right, which is increasingly engaged in well-paying white-collar jobs, which means the growth of IT sector in particular has transformed India into a global technological hub, driving not only employment but also social mobility and access to better standards in their living. So that is also one reason, one changing trend, right? Is it clear?
यस सर।
Now we will go to
Yes, sir.
caste class continuum. What does it mean? Do you understand what is caste class continuum? You know what is it? The caste class continuum is a sociological concept. It's a sociological concept that explores the interaction and overlap between caste and class systems, particularly in the context of Indian society. So what is it? It is a sociological concept that explores the intersection and overlap between caste and class system, particularly in the context of Indian society. So how it does, it examines how these two social stratification systems interact and influence each other, shaping the social hierarchy and mobility of individuals. We know that the caste system is a hereditary social stratification system based on rigid divisions, typically associated with Hindu society, but also among other communities in South Asia. Whereas the class system is a more flexible social stratification system based on economic status, education, and occupation. So the caste class continuum will examine the overlaps between these two. How will we do that? Do you have an idea how it can be done? How such an overlap of caste overlapping to class, class overlapping to caste can be examined?
Sir, it is like somebody has born into a higher caste system, but end up being a poor person. Is it a caste class?
It can be, yes, it can be. There is an interaction where there is an economic mobility that happens, right?
Yes, sir.
For example, in modern Indian society, economic status and education increasingly influence social standings, right? Yet, right, this is correct, right? In Indian systems, in modern India, if we look into it, the economic status and education increasingly influence social standing. Yet, there is something called a caste identity remains a significant factor in social interactions and opportunities. So that is called the overlap, right? There is an overlap. One is getting into a higher class mobility, or one is coming down to a lower class mobility, yet there is an overlap of caste system. Also in class system, if we see the class system, it allows the mobility where individuals can move up or down the social ladder, but on their achievements, wealth, or education. Here, they are only focused on achievements of wealth and education or whatever their achievement. That is class system. The other one, caste, is based on the caste system of hierarchy of the caste. But when it comes to the overlapping, the modern economic condition or the modern economic status plays an important role. For example, there is an interaction between caste and class. What is the interaction? Economic mobility within the castes. Individuals from traditionally low caste can attain higher economic status through education and employment. You agree to it or not? Individuals from traditionally lower castes can attain higher economic status through education and employment, which may lead to improved social standing, right?
Sir.
Or other one, higher caste may experience a downward mobility, okay? If if they face economic hardship or lack of access to opportunities. Where is the next one? Persistence of caste hierarchies. Despite of these economic differences, if there is economic differences still, in spite of those differences, caste-based discrimination and social norms. Caste-based discrimination and social norms continue to influence many aspects of life, such as even if you have a good salary, it will not mean that you will get a good marriage proposal, or you may get a political affiliation or social networks. So there is a persistence of caste hierarchies. Now, another factor is the impact of modernization and urbanization. Urbanization and economic developments, which is happening in India or anywhere, have led to the blurring of caste lines in some areas. Right? Urbanization and economic development, if you look into it, you can understand that it has led to blurring of caste lines in some areas, with merit and wealth becoming more important than traditional caste status in determining social classes. Means, do you understand what I said? Urbanization and economic developments have led to the blurring of caste lines. It has become, the caste lines have become thinner in some areas, with merit and wealth becoming more important than traditional caste systems or caste status in determining social classes. You understand? Agreed? Well, the
Yes, sir.
next one is, the next one is what we discussed. Governmental policies policies like reservations in education systems for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBCs aim to reduce the caste-based disparities and promote social mobilities. So, can you tell me, after all this explanation, can you tell me what is the implication of caste class continuum on India? I mean, on the social stratification in India.
It will eventually, it might diminish the aspect of caste having on the Indian society. There will be a time where caste will no matter, will be not a influencing thing in the Indian society. People will like right now, if you are rich but you can't marry to an upper caste person, but eventually it will change this phenomena. I think so.
Okay, that's correct. So the caste class continuum highlights the complexity of social stratification in India, where traditional caste identities coexist with modern class dynamics. So understanding this continuum is essential for addressing social inequalities and designing policies that promote social justice and mobility. So what you said, the urbanization, modernization, those things have blurred the caste system to an extent that it will diminish in the coming years and will be having a more social mobilized society than what is it right now. Is it clear for that section? Can we go to the next section?
Yes, sir.
Social stratification in Indian diaspora. Okay. Now, the Indian diaspora, comprising of people of Indian origin living outside, okay, they reflect the social stratification system of India, although these systems adapt to new socio-economic contexts. For example, the old diaspora are normally the unskilled migrants before the World War II. The new diaspora, the skilled migrants post 1960. So, what are the key patterns of migration and stratification? Let us examine indentured labor migration. That is something which happened between 1834 to 1920, where migration under the British colonial rule to work in plantations in Africa, Asia, and the Caribbean islands. So that is the context. Okay. What they were doing also, there were places, sugar plantations in Mauritius and all. These were examples. What is the stratification feature there? What happened there was the diverse caste representation, including many from lower caste seeking to escape caste oppression. So that is the one reason. The key patterns of migration. So indentured labor, the stratification feature is that diverse class representation, including many from lower caste seeking to escape the caste oppression, and the persistence of caste identities in social and cultural practices. However, during that time also, there was a persistence to an extent on class identities in social and cultural practices abroad. The Konkani or Maestri system. Anyone is aware of this one? What is Konkani's way or Maestri system of recruitment or migration? It is basically, as what I've written down, it is basically a family-based recruitment for plantation works in Sri Lanka, Malaysia, and Burma and all. We used to say those days Sri Lanka was known as Ceylon, Malaysia as Malay, and Burma, I hope it was still known as Burma, yeah. So what they used to do is the Kanganis, they play the role of the recruiters, and they are often from higher caste, reinforcing pre-existing and social hierarchies. Lower caste laborers were often subjected to the authority of class recruiters. So they were the people who used to take the higher caste used to take the lower people for family, for works, voluntary, sorry, for works in the plantations in Sri Lanka, Malaya, Burma, etc. What is free or passage immigration? This is a kind of voluntary migration, primarily for trading communities such as the Gujaratis and Punjabis to the east of Africa. What happened? They established successful business, achieving economic prominence. Also, despite economic success, traditional caste affiliation often reminded to be important, even though there was an economic success. The traditional caste affiliation often remained important. And the context of free passage immigration is that it is a voluntary migration primarily for trading by the Gujaratis and Punjabis to east of Africa. What is brain drain? Post 1916, it happened, and it's a migration of skilled professional. Can you tell me why migration of skilled professional is called a brain drain? Karan, can you answer me, please?
सॉरी सर, इसके बारे में भी मुझे पता नहीं है.
Sir, it is called brain drain because they were skilled professional. They have achieved their profession. Like for example, doctor. He studied his complete doctorate degree in India, and he was supposed to work in India, and he was supposed to give what he get from the country. But he chooses to go to foreign country. So it's a brain which it is not a person who went. It is a brain who went and invest his knowledge to that country, not into the particular country where he get the education. It's this is because it's brain drain.
Right. So what will be the impact on stratification? Will professional success lead to upward social mobility because he has gone there, right?
Yes, sir.
However, the caste-based network persisted, influencing social interaction and community organization even in the country where he has gone, right? So that is the stratification. Now, labor migration to Gulf countries. Migration of unskilled and semi-skilled and skilled laborers to Gulf countries for economic opportunities such as construction and domestic services. That is the one which has happened to Gulf countries, where harsh working conditions and limited social mobility are for many, not many, most of them. And the caste distinction persisted, but higher castes often occupying supervisory roles. And nowadays, this stratification in Gulf countries has come down a bit because even the lower caste people who had been seniors and who had gained a lot of knowledge in their job, working in a particular country or a region in Gulf for long, has gained supervisory and even managerial positions in many of the companies. So that's the key patterns of social stratification. Now we will go into the characteristics of social stratification. What are the characteristics of social stratification? Cultural continuity. So practices related to marriage, religious rituals, and community gatherings.
सर आपकी वॉइस क्लियर नहीं आ रही है.
We clear है? Is it clear now?
Yes sir.
I said, is it clear?
Yes sir, clear.
Cultural continuity means even if a person migrates to another country, the practices related to marriage, religious rituals, and community gatherings often reflect caste-based traditions. That is called cultural continuity. What is social mobility? We have discussed this one many times. Social mobility varies significantly depending on economic opportunities and social acceptance in the host countries, which is important. Also, the skilled professionals and entrepreneurs often experience greater mobility when unskilled laborers face more challenges. So the skilled professionals and entrepreneurs often experience greater mobility. This is what you have to understand. They often experience greater mobility while the unskilled laborers faces more challenges. What is maintenance of caste and class identities? Well, it means many of these diaspora communities abroad maintain traditional caste-based identities, like caste-based associations in US, even in Europe, we have caste-based Indian associations. So this is what is called the maintenance of caste and class identities. Adaptation to host societies, which means while traditional stratification persists, they adapt to social, economic, and cultural context of the host countries. There is already a traditional stratification, okay? Yet keeping that one, they still adapt to the socio-economic and cultural context of the host countries. Is it clear?
Yes sir.
What is the impact of social structure? Caste retention, caste conscious persists in various forms within the diaspora communities, right? Class mobility, the role of economic opportunities and adaptations is gaining social mobilities. We'll go to the next one, caste and caste identity in Indian diaspora. Before that, I'll tell you something. There is an interplay of caste and class. We told you, right? Same way, there is economic contribution of diasporas to, like the diaspora investment in education, healthcare, and infrastructure, such as schools funded by these NRIs in Punjab, and or the remittances significantly impact the Indian economy like the remittances from Gulf countries, etc. So the economic distribution of diasporas has affected to blur the social stratification system in India. Okay, so remember that one also. That is economic contribution of diasporas have considerably helped to blur the economic the social stratifications or caste-based stratifications in India. We'll go to Indian diaspora, the caste and caste identity of Indian diaspora. What is caste identity? Though it is written there, caste identity refers to the social identity and sense of belonging that an individual derives from their caste group. Or we can say that caste identity refers to the social identity and sense of belonging that an individual derives from the caste group. It's a key aspect of social stratification in Indian society and is defined by various factors, including hereditary occupations, social hierarchies, and social norms. Is it clear? Anshika, is it clear to you? What is caste identity?
Yes, sir.
Now we will go to the caste identity in Indian diaspora. Caste in different migration waves, persistence of caste identity, caste-based associations and networks, caste and social stratification in host societies. We have discussed this one, right? Historically, the waves of migrations from years which we have mentioned earlier influence with trade, colonialism, and economic opportunities. However, the significance of Indian community, Indian diasporas, contributed to certain caste-based social persistence, like caste in different migration ways. For example, caste identities were carried by intellectual laborers to regions like Caribbean and African areas where we discussed. In some cases, caste distinction blurred due to shared economic conditions, but like trading communities, migrants from trading communities such as Gujaratis and Sindhis often maintain caste practices while establishing business abroad. Those are caste-different migration waves. Persistence of caste identity. There is always a persistence of caste identity, like, for example, between the diaspora, like the cultural continuity, despite the geographical reallocations. Many Indian diaspora communities continue to maintain their caste identities. Then marriage practices. Endogamy remains prevalent, with caste playing a crucial role in matrimonial choices, where we have always seen that a matrimonial a matrimonial act comes with the caste and caste details and all those things still persist. And the community organization, caste-based organized associations or groups often serve as a support network in diaspora communities. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now the next one is caste-based associations and networks. Caste-based associations and networks. I'm sorry. What is the role of these caste-based associations and network? This is something which you can do a project as well. This association often, what they do is to serve cultural heritage, provide social support, facilitating networking within the specific caste group. Like examples, like caste-based organizations in countries like US, Gulf, UK. They host cultural events, religious ceremonies, and provide community services like Diwali. We used to celebrate here Diwali, some community services. All these are caste-based associations and networks. Then the next one is caste and social stratification in host society. Caste identities, now they adapt to socio-economic and cultural environments of host countries. This is what we have learned earlier. Caste identities, they adapt to the socio-economic and cultural environment of host countries. Whereas in some cases, caste distinctions are reinforced in, the caste distinctions are reinforced through community gatherings, religious practices, and cultural events. What is the challenge that may happen? Can you tell me, Karan? Because I told you that when the migration happens in the diaspora, the caste identity adapts to. That means the people get adapt to the socio-economic and cultural environments or cultural environments of the host countries. Okay. Whereas in some cases, caste distinctions are reinforced. So in between them, the caste distinction get reinforced through community gatherings, religious practices, and cultural events. So, for example, there is a group of 50 people from different caste, creed, or culture, or maybe let us put this in different localities of India. They were working together, everything fine. They got adapted to the same salary scales. They got adapted to the social structure of the host countries. In between, their years to become a caste distinction by gatherings, their social gatherings, or by religious gatherings and all. In such a situation, what will be the challenges faced uh, uh, by such kind of a social stratification? What will be the challenges for the people? There will be challenges, right? There will be class discrimination, and when a class discrimination comes in a diaspora community, reflected persistence to caste creed hierarchies, then there will be a challenge of getting again reinforced the way they were or getting adapted into the society in a more social way. So that's the challenge they play. Also, the impact of caste identity on mobility. So, what is the impact of caste identity on social mobility? Like caste identity can influence access to economic systems, economic opportunities, and resources within diaspora communities. Network based on caste can provide business opportunities and employment, but also can restrict social mobility for those from lower caste. Those are the economic opportunities, whereas the the social integration, caste identities can impact the degree of integration within the broader society of the host countries, and strong caste affiliation may limit cross-community interactions, affecting the social cohesions. Those are the main things which we have to know. Also, caste organizations. Uh, caste organizations, they do community support. That's what I said, the role of, and they do social activities like organizing social events and providing scholarships for community members. The community support is like based on community providing support and maintaining social networks in times of need, etc. Is there anything which you need to understand? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Now we will go to gender in diaspora. What does gender in diaspora mean? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by gender in diaspora? Gender in diaspora means nothing. It's the role of the genders. The female and male genders, they play a crucial role in shaping the experience of diaspora communities. Okay, so let us see how it plays the role, what kind of role it plays. For example, the Indian diaspora, gender dynamics are normally influenced by traditional gender roles. Okay, I will explain to you what it is. Then the migration pattern of impact of migration on gender roles. Then the gender disparities and the changing gender dynamics. So what is the traditional gender roles? Continual of the patriarchal norms, cultural preservation. What does it mean?
In our country,
Yeah, tell me.
In our country, mainly man moves towards the host countries or foreign countries. Women normally stay into the home and take care of the family and kids. It's the traditional gender role.
Okay, agreed. It's correct. Like not in many, most of the Indian diaspora communities maintain traditional gender role where the men, especially this happens in Gulf countries, men often occupy public and economic spaces while the women are expected to focus on domestic responsibilities, like what you said. And the preservation means women are often seen as the bearers of cultural identity, responsible for transmitting traditions, language, and values of next generation. So, women is often seen as the bearers of cultural identity, responsible for transmitting traditions, language, and values to the next generation. Again, what is the impact of migration on gender roles? First impact we all know there is the economic participation, where migration has led to increased economic participation of women, especially in dual income households. In some cases, women have become primary breadwinners also, right? There are places where women has become primary breadwinners. The challenges for that is that women often face a double burden of managing both work and domestic responsibilities, leading to stress and limited social mobility. So that is one of the impacts. However, when women becomes the breadwinner of a family, they face a double burden of managing both work and domestic responsibilities, leading to stress and limited social mobility. Gender disparities. Gender disparity happens where do we get gender disparity? In employment and in education, right? In employment, women in this diaspora may face challenges in accessing employment due to language barrier or lack of recognition of qualification and or cultural expectations. While in education, there has been an increase in educational attainment among women in the diaspora. Disparities access of higher education persist in many communities within the diaspora. What is the changing gender dynamics? Younger generations and community organization, what they are doing. The younger generations are challenging traditional gender norms, right? Which increase emphasis on gender equality and women's rights. And there is community organizations of diasporas and women groups are working to address gender issues, provide support, and promote gender equalities. Right? They are trying to promote gender equalities and support the women to get better educations. Anything in this sector and in this section?
No, sir.
Okay. What are the gender-based challenges in diaspora? Number one is, as we all know, it is domestic violence. Prevalence of domestic violence remains a significant issue in some diaspora communities, often in Gulf countries, or exacerbated by isolation and lack of support networks. So they lack support networks, and the support system here is they are growing a number of support organizations and initiatives aimed at addressing domestic violence and providing assistance to survivors. So there is a growing number of support organizations and initiatives against this domestic violence. Number two is health and well-being. Access to healthcare. Women in the diaspora may face barriers in accessing healthcare due to cultural stigmas, language barriers, and limited resources. Also, they have mental health issues, particularly related to migration stress, discriminations, and gender-based violence are critical concerns for women in the diaspora. Representation and leadership. Political and social representation. Political and social representation of women from the Indian diaspora are increasingly taking leadership roles in politics, business, and community organization through representations are quite limited till now. The empowerment initiatives focusing on empowering women through education, skill development, and leadership trainings are being taken into consideration. Gender transformation means independence and authority. Women became matrix and community leaders, demonstrating significant agencies, revival of patriarchal post-Anglo period. So a revival of traditional patriarchal values and practices. Moreover, gender roles within the Indian diaspora are evolving, influencing economic needs, generational changes, and global exposures. While challenges are such as discriminations like domestic violence and limited access to resources persist, there are significant opportunities for promoting gender equality and empowering women in the diaspora. Anything is there to be asked?
Then I wanted to ask something.
Tell me.
Sir, it's not related to the topic. I just wanted to know, sir, the PPT which you have made, you made it all by yourself, or you took help from AI? It's very nice PPT actually.
We this PPT is this PPT is made by myself, but I don't know. There is a kind of software we use here I am based in Qatar, so we use a kind of software called eDraw. This is a very good software which helps us derive these PPTs. So if you, it's a licensed version. It comes in the licensed version. So here we normally use eDraw. AI PPTs are there, but AI and eDraw are linked. However, this AI PPT still we have a problem accessing because here in Gulf countries, the AI rules or the regulations of usage of AI is still not being confirmed. So these things, whatever service providers, no, they still keep blocking AI sites. So this eDraw has a link with AI, and we can derive all these PPTs nicely. Thank you. Anyway, thank you for that one, Anisha. You noticed the PPT's difference, right?
Yes, sir. It's very different and it's very colorful and very engaging PPT, I must say.
Thank you, Anisha. So with this, we may end the class because most of the things I made it a bit short. But is there anything that you need to ask? Any notes or any special areas which you need to revisit? Let me know.
Okay, sir. Sir, can you please share this PPT with us?
Yes, it can be. It is shared, right? You mean you want the
We want that
hard.
in our group, actually, a WhatsApp group.
Okay, I will do that one. No problem. I'll share this one.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Anything from
sir.
you? Thank you. So with that, we end up. Sadaji, you're there?
No, I am the.
Firoz,
Yes, yes,
shall we
yes.
wind up? Shall we wind up?
Yes, yes, sure, sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Firoz. Thank you. We'll
Okay.
come back again right, after.
Yes.
What is the next session? Next session is at 2 o'clock. Let me see. Thank you, Firoz. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.